Hi YouTube. So I'm filming from a different angle in my house for a change. This is where my piano used to sit, and I didn't have an outlet for my ring light over here, so I could never really actually film. So now I'm finally able to, because now I just have a table over here that houses all my Twilight memorabilia. As you guys have seen in my last short, I lost my grandfather this past weekend, and you know, it was a day that I knew was going to come, but you know, when you really love someone, you're never fully prepared for it when it happens. And you know, and I'm sorry I look like a mess. I don't know when I'm gonna upload this. It might be the next day. Right now it's Wednesday, and tomorrow, which is Thursday, it's going to be my grandfather's funeral, and we're going to lay him to rest. And I have written something, and we both have the same hat. So like this, a couple years ago, I think, according to my internet timeline, I bought us both, myself and him, beanies for Moose Tracks ice cream, because we love Moose Tracks ice cream, he and I, and that was something that we shared. And so we can't find the hat at the moment, and rather than scramble and make my grandmother all crazy over it and try to find it, we're not going to try to find it. And instead, I thought about giving him my hat in the casket, but I don't know, because if I did that, I wouldn't have anything to remember him by. I mean, I have things to remember him by, but like, it's the one thing, like the last thing that we shared, if that makes sense. And I want to still keep mine. And I do think it'll be special if we do run across it at some point when my grandmother's going through all of his stuff. But just for time's sake, and just so my grandmother isn't driven crazy trying to find it, I found the picture I took the day that I bought it and gave it to him and myself, and here's what it looks like. So there's me and him in our Moose Tracks hat, ice cream hat. Sorry, it looks a little messed up. I had a problem this morning with my Polaroid printer. I have a Polaroid printer, by the way, where you put your phone on it and it prints off pictures. And so I'm going to put this in his casket tomorrow. I thought I would record this right now while I feel strong enough to. The thing about grief is it's very weird. Like, today, I felt blank most of the day. Like, I didn't really cry. I mean, I cried a little bit today, but not as much as I had been. And I just kind of felt numb, I guess you could say. And I'm thinking, while I'm feeling this way, where I'm not like emotionally breaking down, I could record some footage and then share it later. I don't know if I'll include like footage from the services in this at all. I might not. The biggest reason why is because I don't want to remember my grandfather that way. You know, and it is disrespectful to the dead to like include stuff like that. And I just don't want to do that. I'm not that type of person. You know, if I show anything, it'll probably be when the casket's closed and we're laying him to rest. I'm sure you guys could understand that. I mean, that's just something you want to remember them as they were, not as they are now, you know, because in reality, the way I believe, it's not really him anymore. Like, his spirit is somewhere else. It's not even in that shell anymore. That's just how I believe. That's what I think happens when you pass. I did write something, and I thought I would go ahead and share it with you guys. I'm going to be reading it when I go up there, and I'm hoping that I can read it without breaking down. I think I can tonight. Tonight I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling pretty okay. I just got back from my parents' house. We had a dinner, and my aunt and my estranged uncle was there, as well as my brother and his girlfriend. And you know, I just kind of talked to the people that I wanted to talk to, and then I left. You know, I got to see my grandmother again, and you know, I left things at that. That's just one of those things I'm trying to deal with God on, and try to learn how to forgive my uncle for disappearing on us for so long and deciding now to be the son, the brother, the uncle that he never was. And I don't desire a relationship with him anymore, but I am working on forgiving him because I feel like it's important to not hold on to any grudges at least. But I don't think I'm obligated to still want the relationship, and I don't want the relationship at this point. But that's a topic for another video. I'm going to go ahead and share what I wrote for my grandfather's funeral, and I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone. I'm not only sharing this with you guys, but I'm also practicing it so that maybe when I go up there, I don't stumble. I tend to do that when I get really nervous, so I'll go ahead and read this to you guys. I'd like to thank everyone for coming and all of the thoughts and prayers for our family during this difficult time. I'm not sure I can even begin to sum up 32 years of memories with my grandfather, but I will try. Those who know me well know that how close to my grandparents I am. I mention them to people frequently. I've never known someone so much like my blood in my entire life compared to my grandfather. He was in my life before I even entered the world. I feel so blessed that God would allow me so much time with him, though I'll always feel like it wasn't enough. I'd like to thank my parents for making the sacrifice to move here so my brother and I could be with and experience our grandparents like we have. They are such a blessing and will always be one of the greatest blessings in my life. My grandfather went from papal to schoolboy, in a memory that you just had to be there for. One day he walked into my parents' house with a fancy haircut. I kept saying he looked like a schoolboy, and the name just stuck. I even misspell it on purpose just to be different. He loved me with love so fiercely. Sometimes it was tough when I needed it. He sometimes was the only one who could get me to listen to reason. You would never meet anyone better at beating me at Monopoly and Phase 10. I will never forget the countless number of nights and times I spent with him and Grandma playing these games. We even played a silly game called Chow Crown, where you have to catch food attached to forks rotating on a hat. I have video evidence of this interesting experience. We always would do something special for holidays too. I never let a day go by without showing him how much I loved him and how much he meant to me. I always tried to capture all the birthdays and Father's Day gatherings too. This last summer we were together, I got to capture us making custom painted shirts. I only wish I could have done that more frequently when I was younger. My last conversation with him ended with a hug and him telling me I smelled good. I simply replied with, "Thanks, I had a shower," something we sometimes would also joke about. I had no idea that would be the last time I'd get to speak with him. We were originally supposed to only have 4 months with him. That horrible November of 2023, we found out about his cancer. However, thanks to God's wonderful mercies, we were given 3 more years. I selfishly will never feel like that was enough, but I will always be grateful for all the time. Sorry, I'm turning the pages. All the time God did allow me to have him in my life. There's so much more I could say, but we would be here forever. If I could give you anything to take away from this short speech, it is this. Make every day of your life count. We only get one of these, and it is but a vapor. You will go to sleep one night at the age of 18 and wake up one morning 32 and wonder where all that time is gone, much like I have been feeling now. Our family gatherings will be a little smaller and a little quieter. The hole in my heart will always be there that came in his absence. I love you, schoolboy. I cannot wait to see you again one day. I have complete and total faith that I will one day. So that's what I wrote today to commemorate my grandfather. There's so many other things I could have said and mentioned, and I keep thinking about them as I read it, and I don't want to make it too long, especially if most of the grandkids want to go up and speak. I don't want to be the one that takes the whole thing, So, yeah, hopefully I get to read it and I don't break down and it sounds smoother than it just did a minute ago. I plan on continuing to practice it tonight, and, this year, I think the song that keeps playing in my head throughout this year so far, well, actually the last 6 months of my life, is Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. And I just feel like that's the song this year for me, because I have all these things changing, and I've been afraid of the changes because I build my life around the people and the things that are always there, like my car, the piano, and my grandfather. Like, this is like the year of massive losses for me, and I'm just grateful for the people that are still there, still here for me, and are still praying for me and my family, and they care about me when I'm hurting, and they don't just brush it off as nothing, and they do realize I'm in a pattern of grief that probably will always be there, especially when all of my grandparents are gone. You just learn to live with it, and I know that I'll get stronger and stronger the more time goes on, but it's going to take me some time, and it's going to take our whole family some time, and I just hope that God is merciful and allows me to have a little bit more time with my grandmother before things happen in that regard, because I don't look forward to that either. I just realized he was my last living grandfather, and I'm just down to my grandmother's now at this point, and it's a lot to accept and a lot to deal with, because I'm already struggling with the things that most 30-year-olds struggle with, especially when they're single like I am, and they wonder when their life's going to actually start with someone, and when they're going to have those things that they want for their future. And I think what breaks my heart even more is the fact that my grandfather's not going to be around to see me get married or have the family that I want, and instead of him seeing that, I have to commemorate him on my wedding, and I was hoping not to have to do that, and unfortunately I do, and my hope and prayer now is that I don't have to do that for my grandmother too. We'll see. As of right now, I don't have any definitive prospects for people in my future. I have been going on some dates with somebody, but I'm not really sure where that's going. I'm just leaving that up to God, because it is a little bit different and not what I'm used to. It's someone that's different, and then I've got another person that might be interested. He acts like he is anyway, that serves with me at my church, but he's very left field, if you know what I mean, and like my family would totally just have a coronary if they had any kind of deep political conversation with him, and so I'm highly concerned about that, because I've been there, done that, and gotten the t-shirt when it comes to dating someone that my family doesn't like or get along with, and I don't want to do that again. I don't want to find myself in that situation again, so I'm trying to be very guarded and careful about who I bring into my life. So anyway, I'm just at a point where I'm trying to trust God with that, and not worry so much about it, even though I do. And the fact that this has happened, I'm worried even more about it. And part of me has some guilt and sadness that I have to work through, because I feel like I didn't get to say goodbye, even though I did. I didn't realize that our last conversation about 2 weeks ago actually, was our last conversation. And what I'm trying to say is, you never know when your last conversation with somebody's going to be, and so you want to make those conversations count. And I'm realizing that more and more the older I get, and this is also why I have worked so hard to make things better with my dad and me, because I don't want to see him end his life knowing that I failed, and I don't want to fail as a daughter. And I'm trying to make things count with all the people that are left in my family, because you just never know when your time with them is up. And it just makes me realize how finite things are. And I didn't get to say goodbye, it felt like, because he was gone before I got to their house on Sunday. I pulled into the yard, the driveway, and my dad was already outside telling me that he was gone, and I was just in shock. I thought that we had a little bit more time with him, and we didn't. None of us knew. Not even my grandmother was was aware of what was going on, because he was showing signs. After my grandmother described to me what was going on with him, he was showing signs of actively dying this past week. And she thought maybe he was sick with pneumonia, but it really wasn't pneumonia. It was actually the death rattle that he was experiencing a few days before his death, and we didn't realize it. And you know, it just makes me regret doing certain things, but looking back on it now, I needed that time that I took with my cousin before I went over to their house, because I needed that lunch. I needed things to kind of be poured into me so that I would have the strength to get through this. And I think God had it happen the way that it did for a reason. And I think it probably would have been more traumatic on me to watch him pass away than it was to actually go and see him after he had passed. And I think that's why it happened the way that it did. I think God was trying to protect me from further trauma than I already have regarding what happened. And in a way, I'm kind of glad that my brother wasn't there, and I'm kind of glad that none of our other family members were there, just because it was very traumatic and it was a very hard day. And I'm very grateful for all the people, all the medical staff, the hospice staff, and the people that came to get him. They had treated us with respect and dignity, and they sympathized with us, and I sympathized with them, because I would not want their job. I don't think my mental stamina would be strong enough to have that kind of job, because it's sad. It's very sad to have that kind of job, I feel like. I'm rambling on. Hopefully this video is making sense. I don't know if I'm going to make it a compilation video or if I'm just going to post this by itself, but I'll continue to keep you guys updated on my grief journey. It's been weird. It comes in waves, and unfortunately it hit me really hard on Monday at work, and I couldn't help myself but cry. I had to sit at my desk for a minute, and thankfully the guys I work with were giving me space, and they didn't come and talk to me while I was in the middle of having my little breakdown. But I did have a mini crash out at my desk on Monday, just because I got to thinking about that hat, and I wanted him to be buried with it. And you know, I think this picture here is good enough, and it still signifies, you know, our relationship and the love we had for each other. And you know, my greatest hope is that he knew that I loved him, and I think he did. And it would have been nice to have actually said goodbye, but I do think our goodbye was pretty good. It ended with our normal jokes that we had, and it was rough watching him die of this disease. And I hate cancer. I hate it. And he lost his voice, and I quit hearing his voice for several months before this happened, and that was one of the biggest things that bothered me. And I remember the day that he told me that everything spread all over his body, and he gave me a ceramic angel that day and said that I could use that to talk to him and pray to him through. And it was just one of those things that he gave me as a random gift, and I have it up on my knick-knack shelf. And I remember that day, and that was a very hard day. Apparently my mom already knew about it and didn't tell me because they wanted to tell me. My grandparents wanted to tell me. And they know how close I am to them. And you know, part of me is grieving because life as I know it is changing, and it's not the way I want it to change, you know? I think out of selfishness, you never want these kinds of people that you're so close to die, but it's part of life, and it's inevitable, and it's gonna happen to all of us, myself included. And you know, part of me is afraid of it, part of me is not afraid, part of me knows, you know, what happens, and my faith in God and all that, but it doesn't take the pain away of the people that are left behind when someone dies. And you know, I'm gonna have a long road ahead of me, and I just hope that God is merciful enough that I get at least a few more years with my grandmother. We'll see. I know one thing's for sure: I refuse to leave her by herself. I won't. When family has to go back to Oklahoma, I'm gonna be right there. I don't plan on leaving her by herself, and I don't want to. She gave me this necklace that I'm wearing, my grandmother did, when I graduated high school, I believe she gave this to me. I still have the little card she gave me before I opened this, and it's very near and dear to my heart. And there's just so many things that are near and dear to my heart when it comes to those two. My grandfather gave me tough love when I needed it, and he also gave me the right kind of love when I needed it as well. And he was a safe place to land. I could tell him secrets. I could tell him things that I didn't want my parents to know. They both, my grandmother included, they have taken me, all forms of me, even when it was difficult and we've argued before, and they still love me. They still accept me. They still talk to me. They give me advice. They let me come to them bare bones. And granted, I can do that too with my mom and sometimes my dad, but there's just something about grandparents. They're good at keeping secrets. They let you come as you are, and they don't ask questions. They don't question it. They don't judge you. They don't say the wrong things about you or anything like that. They just take you as you are, is basically what I'm saying. My words are all over the place, and I apologize. It's been a very exhausting week, and tomorrow's going to be a very long day, and I just had to hop on here and record something, and I may just record this and post it by itself because it's already at 21 minutes. Instead of making one big video. I don't even know if I'll post anything about tomorrow. We'll see, but I'm grateful that you guys are here. Welcome new subscribers and welcome old subscribers. Grief is a universal experience, and no matter what walk of life you are, no matter what you believe, everyone goes through this, and it's a complicated emotion. It's a complicated process. It never fully goes away. I think there's always parts of it that stay with you, as things go on. I know there's parts of my old grief that still stays with me, and, it's just a lot. It's a lot, and it doesn't get any easier. All I can do is rely on God and give this all to God, and as difficult as it can be in my introverted nature, I still need to suck it up and enjoy being around a bunch of people tomorrow, and be with my family and enjoy the time I've got, because it is very rare that we're all together, and it's very sad that a death in the family had to bring us all together. But you never realize how much glue your grandparents have in your family until they're missing from the picture. And I have a feeling our family's going to look a lot different when my grandmother's gone. Because a lot of times when we have people visiting here, it's only to see them, really. I mean, they like to see us, but the ultimate reason is to take time with them, and that's understandable. And it would be understandable if going forward, after all of that's over, that we visit them instead of them visiting us. It's just hard and complicated to have people that live so far away from you that are your family. But I don't think I would change it for the world. I am grateful that my mom and dad chose to move here from Oklahoma, and I don't think I would know my grandparents as well as I do now, and I wouldn't have had the experience or the memories that I've created and want to continue to create while they're still here, while my grandmother's still here. And I'm going to do the best to create those as much as I can with her while she's still here. And, we'll just keep on with this journey of life, and I'll post more as I have it. I appreciate those that are here, and thank you for watching, and thank you for being here, and thank you for thinking of me. And so I'll keep you guys updated in the future, and I'll let you guys know what kind of travel vlogs will be ahead. I know for sure the Disney one is still going to happen. I just can't say for sure the Oklahoma one will, Oklahoma one, because I don't know about my grandmother. I don't want to leave her by herself. and I've got more time than my brother does to be with her when I'm not working. So we'll see about that. I'll keep you guys posted. Until then, this is me signing off. Before I end this video, I'm going to show you guys a couple things that I have from my grandfather. This is his clock that he got when he worked at GM and retired. It's a, let me look here. It's kind of blurry. 25 years of service clock. I don't have it wound right now, and I'm not sure I'm ready to hear the sounds of it just because of everything that's going on. He did sign it on the back, and I think he put his nickname and my nickname on it. This other thing that I have is this Mickey phone lamp, and I remember him distinctly making this for me. I was going to help him, but he decided to make it himself without me, and he wrote this little card here that says, "Hope this brightens up your nights. Happy part of your birthday, schoolboy." And he you know, I know what he meant, but he just put SKOBOY. But yeah, I will have this lamp forever. I will never get rid of it, and that little card there is a package deal with it. But yeah, he made that for me. And anyway, those are a couple of memorabilia items that I do have. And yeah, so anyway, I'll keep you guys posted on future content. Thank you for watching.